Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm John Monsul. This is called Communicating Today. We've been on Channel 10 for a long, long time. One of the longest running shows on this channel. And in fact, we come on 3 times every week, every Wednesday evening in prime time at 8:30, every Friday morning for you early birds when you're driving to work, and you should be paying attention to your driving and not texting and emailing, because that's very dangerous. But also for the 3rd time, we come on every Sunday afternoon at 3:30. So 3 times every week. And we've been doing it for a long, long time. But before we do that, I'm going to take a moment or so and just dedicate this particular show to my beloved sweetheart, my wonderful wife, Dolores Dee Monsul. There you see her picture and me up there when we were about 40 years of age, many, many years ago. I miss you, honey. I love you. I can't wait to see you someday. But we got a show to do tonight, so let's get on with our TV show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be one of the most important shows that I think we've ever done. In our 780 shows, it's all about people helping other people. And that's what this program is all about, with a wonderful organization called the Social Action Linking Together, with an abbreviation of SALT, S-A-L-T, which is represented by this wonderful gentleman sitting alongside of me here, Mr. John Horsch.
Correct.
Did I pronounce it right, John?
Absolutely.
I got it right?
Correct, yes.
John, thank you so much for coming on our program, representing your wonderful organization of SALT. And it's such an important work that you do and have been doing for a long, long time. I can't thank you enough for coming on the program and for the tens of thousands of people that your wonderful organization has helped to put food on the table, put a roof over people's heads, and have hope for the future, which is what your organization has done, John. Well, just take a moment or so and let's find a little bit more about you. I know you mentioned before the program you come from Minnesota.
Absolutely. God's country.
Right, God's country. Is that the nickname, the Gopher State?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
But eventually you wound up down in Missouri.
Yes.
The Show Me State.
Show Me, yes.
It's the home state of President Harry S. Truman.
Correct.
Many decades ago. And so anyway, you went to school up in Minnesota?
Yes.
University of
Minnesota.
Majored in
political science.
Okay.
And then I got a master's degree in University of Missouri. In social work.
Okay, so you went from the north in Minnesota down to the south in Minnesota. You didn't like the cold weather. Did you like cold weather?
Absolutely not.
It
was an escape.
That's why you wound up in Missouri afterwards.
Yeah.
And then you also were employed for many, many years, I think, 30 years?
Yes.
With Health and Education, HEW.
HHS.
Health and Human, used to be HEW.
Absolutely.
Now it's HHS, Health and Human Services.
That's correct, yes.
For 30 years and retired from there.
Yes.
And while you were there, you started this wonderful organization called SALT. I can see why you abbreviated it to SALT, because it's easier to say SALT than Social Action Linking Together, which is the long term of the organization.
Yes.
And you started that and for a long, long time now. And why did you start this organization to begin with? Anyway, what motivated you?
I was particularly, in terms of my social work education, I focused on community organization as opposed to counseling and being kind of a psychologist.
Yeah.
And basically, sensitized by my own family situation. My mother died when I was 3, and I went into relative care, and my relatives were like really poor, and they took me in, and later on, 3 weeks before my wedding, my brother was killed in a farm accident. He was a star farmer from Minnesota, and actually, he had a 5-year-old, and they were adopting a child under 6 months when he got killed. And after the funeral, we found out that his wife was pregnant. So she had 2 babies in diapers and a 5-year-old, and lost her husband.
Oh my God.
And the community came because he had a lot of land, and you had tractors with combines and plows and so
she needed a lot of help.
Yeah, so I was sensitized at an early age, and For example, now the advocacy some of the advocacy we do are in programs where grandparents are raising grandchildren, and I can really identify with that. And they need all the help they can get because children are our future. And I thank you for the opportunity to be able to tell our story. So
it's a beautiful story, John.
Well,
it's a beautiful story. And you got into this about some 35 years ago.
Yes.
You've been in it for a long. You even started this program while you were still employed with HHS.
That's correct.
And they gave you permission to do it.
Yes.
Because they knew it was a very worthwhile activity. And during the course of these 35 years, and I was asking you before the program, how many people do you think SALT has helped over these past 35 years? And the number was insurmountable. It was in the tens and tens of thousands of people to overcome hunger, that people didn't have food to eat, didn't have a roof over their heads, were paying too much in the way of income taxes and tax relief, and also prisoner relief.
Yes.
What was that prisoner thing? What was that about?
Well, actually, women were being shackled when sometimes they're pregnant when they go into prison, and when they're taken to the hospital, they're in labor, they were shackled. And this is very dangerous because their balance with being pregnant, and it could be a risk to the women's...
Pregnant woman incarcerated. Oh my God.
Well, they're sometimes incarcerated when they go into prison. So, anyway, we took on this issue.
The state legislature.
Yes, and here's one of the lessons we learned. I want to share lessons. Is when they killed this in subcommittee, I said to the legislator that put in the bill, I said, "What in the heck are we going to do?" So we went to see the director of corrections. And he says, "Well, I agree with you." He was new. He says, this went on before I came. Yeah. So he said, let's take it to the
legislature.
Well, he said, we'll draft legislations for the corrections policy board, and we took it. They passed it unanimously to stop it. So we learned that sometimes when you don't have success in the legislature, you have to find another way. So we've learned to be very persistent, and persistence pays, because we could have stopped at any step there and not achieved success.
You're an amazing guy, John. I'm so happy that you're on our program today. I'm so happy that we're letting the folks at home watching our program know all about your wonderful organization. Been around for a long, long time. And we're going to talk about some of the wonderful recognition that you've gotten later on in the show and so forth. But I know your wife, Marianne, is involved in your program as well. Where does she come into the picture?
Well, she does more direct services. I do the advocacy. And she, for example, has just come home from doing 10 days of hypothermia at St. John Newman, and she volunteers at the Unitarian Church and the Baptist Church. She works every week at the food bank, Western Fairfax Christian Food Bank, and she is works with students, tutor students, and so she also goes down to Christ House and helps prepare a meal once a month.
So your organization is a faith-based organization, which means you work with a lot of different churches.
Yes.
And it could be Catholics, or it could be Protestant, Roman, whatever they are.
Jewish or Muslim.
Muslim, whatever. And they all contribute something. They all work with you and cooperate with you, because the end result is to help people that need help.
Yes.
And there are thousands of them in the state of Virginia. And we were trying to figure out how many people you've helped in the many years your organization has been in existence. And it came into the literally hundreds of thousands of people have been helped by the various programs, not only programs that you do with SALT, but other programs that are available, such as WIC, WIC, which is helping widows, infants, and children. Circles USA, it's another organization comparable to yours. Medicaid, providing medical care, health care for people that don't have enough money to buy their own insurance. TANF, TANF, which is another organization that provides temporary assistance for needed families and so forth. There's many other ways that people are being helped, but yours is so primary and so important. I can't thank you enough, John, for coming on the
Well,
program.
actually, we're a grassroots group, and we became a grassroots group, kind of stumbled into it. And I was invited to do a workshop at a Catholic Charities conference, and one of my topic was hunger.
Yeah.
And one of the participants got very upset, and I thought I had said something wrong. And he said, well, he was upset because he had come and heard me the year before talk about homelessness, but yet he's back learning all that and had done nothing about it. So I said, anybody that agrees with this gentleman sign this piece of paper. We became a gang of 8, and we learned that the state was charging sales tax on food stamps, that they were creating the program for $9.5 million. So we went marching off to Richmond, and we went 3 years, and everybody agreed with us that it was immoral, wrong, horrible, awful.
Sales tax on food stamps.
Yeah,
Terrible.
taking in a $9.5 million off the top
Oh, my goodness.
for at-risk, hungry families.
Who was governor at that time, I wonder? McDonald or
It was
O'Donnell?
one
I
just
forget.
before him.
Before him,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And so,
That was a wonderful thing. You got that removed.
yes.
Done
yes,
away with,
yes,
that's for
yeah.
sure.
So,
And you have a network of people that work with you. I think it's 1,200 some odd people that are
well, I started out with a gang of 8, and when they heard that we got the sales tax removed, it went like overnight to 158.
Oh,
and
my
then
goodness.
each time we had a success after that. The thing that we did then, I said to Rainey, I said, you know, how in the world are we going to make these Virginia legislators understand that we mean business? So she said, let's have a Richmond wrap-up. So they had to come and stand in front of 100 people and tell us why they didn't remove the sales tax on food stamps, why we had to go to the federal level to get it done. I had to
Wow.
call Senator Kennedy's office, actually, to get it done.
Oh, my goodness.
And so
We're going to talk more about that, the Richmond get-together, the
Yes,
wrap-up and so
yes,
forth. But I just
yes.
got the halfway signal, John. I told you
Okay.
this program moves very
It
quickly.
really does, yes.
So I got to go back to the camera for a few seconds and reintroduce the program for you folks who may have tuned in a little bit late. And in case you did, and we hope there aren't legions of you who did that now, I'm John Monsul, the producer and the host and the creator of this program called Communicating Today. Been on Channel 10 for a very long time. Come on 3 times every week for 25 and plus years. Every Wednesday evening at 8:30, every Friday morning at 6:30 in the morning for you early birds, and every Sunday afternoon at 3:30. And we have a wonderful, one of the best programs I think we've done in a long, long time on our show, all about this wonderful organization represented by this wonderful gentleman sitting alongside of me here, Mr. John Horsch.
Thank you.
Got it
Correct.
right, John?
That's correct.
Rhymes with
Yes.
Porsche. John
Yes.
Horsch, okay.
Car that I don't have.
Right, yeah, me neither. But his organization is called, the long name is called the Social Action Linking Together. But we like the idea that we thought we'd abbreviate it a little bit, so we cut it down to SALT, S-A-L-T, the first letter of each of those 4 words. So that's who he represents. It's been around for around 35 years now, and he's helped tens of thousands of people to avoid starvation, having a roof over their heads, and people who are the less fortunate people in our society is what his organization does. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But John, I can't think of, but he has a website. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a 28-minute show. We can't tell you everything about what he does with the organization because we don't have enough. It would take a 2-hour show to do that, but there's a lot of terrific information on his website. So it's up on your screen, at the bottom of your screen, periodically during the course of our 28-minute show. In case you don't see it, it's www.salt.org. That's his website. Please feel free to contact it, and he'll be more than happy to provide more information for what his wonderful organization does for you. John, can't thank you enough for being on the program. And I know it's faith-based.
Yes.
And there's something in there about the gospel, Luke's gospel from the Bible, and says to care for the oppressed.
Yes.
That's what Luke preaches in the gospel, in the Bible. Care for the oppressed. And before we're going to do the show tonight, John, I asked my next-door neighbor, could you give me something spiritual out of the Bible that I can use on the show? He said, sure, John, why not? He said, there was a time when Jesus was going to give a preach to 5,000 people. And it turned out the apostles came to him and said, Jesus, we only have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. that's not enough to feed 5,000 people. These people are going to be starving. And Jesus said, put the loaves out there and put the fish out there, and they will eat. And the miracle took place, and he fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fishes. A miracle from heaven, and it was beautiful right from the Bible. And my friend Rich Massaniello, Rich, thank you very much for giving me that right from the Bible about the 5,000 people that were fed with the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes. All right, let's go back to our roundup here. The Richmond wrap-up, and you guys do that every year. You get together, and the legislators from the legislature from Richmond that makes our laws here in the state of Virginia come down to Fairfax, and you have a dinner and so forth. And you want to tell us a little bit about how that works?
Well, basically, we invite the legislators again. This is right after the session ends, so they can give us an inside perspective, what they tried to do, what they were successful, what they tried to do that we're going to have to
but they're still working on.
That we're going to have to continue to work with them on.
Yeah.
And basically, we like to do this because we kind of figure out with them what we can work on next year. So the feedback I get is always very excellent. We advertise it as an opportunity to get to know your legislator, to ask them questions, and to get acquainted, to develop a relationship, because it's through relationship that, one legislator at a time that we achieve our successes.
Yeah.
So this is the way we operate. And so many other companion organizations say, how in the world do you do this? Because so many legislators come. We always attract from 10, and one time we had 18. We don't even have a head table big enough to accommodate them all. So it's been very successful, but it's a key to our continued working relationship.
And you'll have another one of those, I guess, coming up this year.
Yes.
When's that going to be, tentatively?
March 30th.
March 30th, later on this month, as we're doing our show.
Yes.
Oh,
see, the session just ended, so.
And where's it? Is it going to be at one of the hotels here?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
That's terrific, John. That's wonderful. And I know that the last one you had, there was one of the senators from the legislature came down, a fellow by the name of Chap Peterson, and he was praising you guys to the skies, saying this is what SALT is all about, is what John Horsch is doing with this wonderful organization called SALT. Another gentleman got up and said a few nice words, the delegate Mark Kern, and the whole idea is to make a difference for other people. And I guess a good thing about your organization, it's nonpartisan.
Yes.
We're not talking about Democrats and Republicans
Well,
here.
we do operate in a political environment, but we're never partisan. We work across the aisle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
You're just trying to help people that need help.
Yeah.
And it takes it out of politics.
Yes.
It takes it away from the Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah. One thing, for example, the state was gouging prison families when they called the inmates, and they were making $8.5 million profit on it. And when I shared this with the Republican, and my patron was the Democrat from Arlington County, he got up and walked over to the Democrat and said, I want to be the lead co-patron with you. That's the way we work. We get them to work across the aisle because these issues are so critical for both sides that we find support on each side.
Yeah.
And I think of every success we've had over the year, it's because we've worked, both sides have worked with us. So.
They realize
It's good. It's good for the state, and it's good for families, and it's good for the communities that they come from.
Yeah, and I read somewhere in the media that the people that need that kind of help, that are in some cases starving, don't have enough food, don't have shelter, don't have the wonderful necessities of life, wonderful health care, that the percentage in the state of Virginia is somewhere in the neighborhood of about 15%. I don't know.
Yes, it's very high. It's surprisingly high.
Maybe much higher than that.
Yes.
But I read that in Wikipedia or Wikipedia, and sometimes they have good numbers, and sometimes the numbers aren't that good. But it's much higher than that. But the numbers are very high.
Yes.
And that's why I think we have some 400,000 people now that qualify for Medicaid.
Yes,
for
that's correct.
healthcare.
Yes.
And at first, people didn't want to do that, but we finally got the politicians to
Well,
agree.
in Southwest Virginia, the medical care was like third world. You know, they had to line up once a year at the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
And if sometimes they came a day or two in advance in line, and then they left, they still couldn't get in because there were so many ahead of them. So this Medicaid expansion is going to be remarkable.
Yeah, and you got a terrific accolades from United States Senator Tim Kaine,
Yes.
the former governor of the state of Virginia, saying a job well done, keep up the good work, John, and a beautiful commendation for you.
I think at the Richmond wrap-up, frequently they comment that we're the conscience of the legislators, because they say everybody else that comes in is asking for themselves, and we come in asking for others, and that's very impressive to them, and they want to work with us.
And I know you don't like to toot your horn, John, but I know that you got a couple of terrific awards, and we could spend another half hour just talking about the many awards that you and your organization have gotten over the last 35 or so years. But we thought we'd keep it down to two of the more important ones, and one is called the Della Strada Award.
Yes.
And what is that Della Strada Award?
Well, it's
I know you don't want to talk about it, but you got it.
It's
you
the Ignatian.
You deserved it.
It's the Ignatian Volunteer Corps, and it's named after a church that served the poor, that the first Jesuit church that served the poor. So it's.
And they have a church in Rome.
Yes, it's in Rome.
Yeah,
yes.
for the
But
church
it's
for
a
the poor.
national award, so
Yeah.
it was a huge event. It was wonderful. Yes.
Yeah, and you got the award for that, the Della Strada Award. And then you got another magnificent award that came through the Washington Post. And for Fairfax County, you were voted the Citizen of the Year.
Absolutely. Lord Fairfax.
In Fairfax.
Yes.
Citizen of the Year in Fairfax.
Yes.
Fairfax.
Well, that's the third one, Fairfax. Lord Fairfax.
Oh my God! And I know we're a little bit limited on time. We could probably talk about all the other dozens and dozens of awards you've gotten and so forth. But you're a modest guy, and I know you don't want to toot your horn. But I just wanted to let the folks out there watching our program, and ladies and gentlemen, I just mentioned a few moments ago, this is only a 28-minute show, and we're getting down close toward the end of our program right now. And we have a lot more that we need to talk about the wonderful work that this organization called Social Action Linking Together, and the acronym of that is SALT, S-A-L-T, the first letter of each of those four words. And it's much easier to say SALT than it is to say the four words in the actual title. And our guest for tonight's show is John Horsch.
Horsch, that's correct.
He said his name rhymes with Porsche, the wonderful automobile. And so I got it right, John.
That's correct, absolutely, yeah.
And we can't tell you all the wonderful things that his organization has been doing for the last 35 years, and the tens of thousands of people that his organization has helped, because we would need a 2-hour show, and it's only a 28-minute show, but he has a great website, and we're putting it up periodically during the course of our 28-minute program. And if you didn't see it, down at the bottom of your screen, about 4, 5, 6 times during the show, it is www.
It's hyphenated.
S-A-L-T with hyphen S hyphen A hyphen
there you go.
L hyphen T.org.
Correct.
You get that right,
yes,
John?
You got that.
I got it pretty
got
close.
It, yes.
Anyway, it should be up at the bottom of your screen, folks. I don't see it at the moment. But anyway, John, you're doing a fantastic job. And so the best way to get in, there might be some people out there watching our TV show, John.
Yes.
They might want to get involved in the kind of work that you do. Might want to get involved with SALT. So I guess the best way to do that would be to access your website.
Absolutely. There's a contact us link, just one click. And we very much welcome.
There it is. It's up there right now, as a matter of fact, John, at the bottom of our screen.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the best way. If you folks want to get involved with the wonderful work that he does with SALT, by all means, people out there need your help and need our help and John's help and so forth.
We'd just like to say that there's no reason to be intimidated about contacting legislators, and we provide fact sheets that are on the website and alerts to send to the legislators. So we make it easy. We make it simple for you to be able to have a great amount of influence with your legislators.
And also the senior viewers of our TV show, you senior folks out there that are retired now, if you're looking for something to do in the nature of volunteer work, This is a wonderful way to volunteer, to get involved with this kind of work where you know you're helping a lot of thousands of other innocent people to lead a better way of life and so forth. You can do that wonderfully with the wonderful organization that John has through SALT. John, I just got the less than 2-minute warning, which means we've got to start wrapping up now. You know, in the football games, the referee waves the flag and blows his whistle and says, "Gentlemen, the game is almost over." Unfortunately, our show is almost over, so we got to start wrapping up, John. I can't thank you enough for coming on our program, John Horsch, and rhymes with Porsche, and representing your wonderful organization, Social Action Linking Together, named SALT, abbreviation.
The most important word there is action.
Action.
And linking faith and action. There you go.
Thank you for the wonderful work you've done for so many tens of thousands of our citizens of the state of Virginia. Keep up the good work. Come back and see us again sometime. Tell us how you're doing. And God bless. And I got to go back to the camera now, and I got to close the show, John. But thank you again so much. And folks, thank you for watching our program. Again, I'm John Monsul. This is Communicating Today. We come on 3 times every week. Been on for 25 years now. And we always go out with our famous cliche, which is simply, keep on communicating for success. And wonderful programs like the one we've done, the important show we've done for you tonight on this wonderful organization called SALT with my wonderful guest, nice gentleman here, John Horsch. Thank you again, John.
Thanks for the opportunity.
You're more than welcome, John. We have another show for you coming up next week, folks, so come back and see us again next week on Communicating Today on Channel 10 right here in Fairfax County. God bless. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Enjoy the forthcoming spring, which is just around the corner. Enjoy the wonderful weather we're going to be enjoying very soon now. And we'll see you all next week on Communicating Today. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.